I just watched Alice, Sweet Alice from 1976. I'd heard about this movie for a long time, but this is actually my first watch of it. I'm a huge slasher fan, and this was always mentioned as one of the most underrated slashers. And I can kind of see why, because one of the biggest things they do in this movie that I'm a huge fan of is the way it's shot and kind of the close ups when there's kills, or of the killer in the frame. It is really unique and different, and I really liked it. And I think it's kind of some of the techniques that they would start using in the 80s for a lot of the lower budget slasher movies. But in this, it made it really creepy. It made it like when the kills happen, they kind of pop out of nowhere and they're in your face. And I think that was a really cool thing for this movie. It is the story of two daughters. One is killed, and the only thing we know as the audience is they're killed by a person in a yellow rain slicker and one of those masks that kind of, they're like plastic and they kind of distort your face, but we don't know who it is. As the audience, we're led to believe that it is Alice throughout this, because she is a very emotional character, high emotions all the time, yelling, and then like we see her in scenes with her mother where she kind of backs down a little bit. With her aunt, she's very like all over the place and doesn't like the aunt at all. So I think we are led to believe that, she is definitely the one who killed her sister. We do get scenes at the beginning too of her and her sister not getting along. Her sister's very mean to her, more than just, I think, an older sister type of situation. But yeah, and I think the way this movie plays out, it's a mystery that works really well on the audience, because it's like we're almost so sure that it is Alice, and we're kind of just watching it play out. And then when the killer reveal happens, it really got me, because I don't think there's any real way of picking it up and guessing it. And, usually in that situation, I would be a little upset because, like in Friday the 13th, for instance, like there's no real clues that it's Mrs. Voorhees until the very end when the reveal happens. With this, it's like they want the audience to believe it's Alice. So we're so clued in on Alice that when the killer reveal happens and it's not Alice, it really works well, I think. It did for me, at least. Like, whoa, no way, it's it's her. And then you have to like kind of question, like, go back in your mind, what did I watch? What were the scenes with her that I could have picked up the clues and things like that. This movie does use religion a little bit as well. For me, religion is always kind of creepy in horror movies because, usually it's with like demonic possession and things like that. But with this, it's like, I believe, used as a reason why the killer is killing, like with sins that these people are committing. So they are trying to take the Lord's work in their own hands, I guess. um, I think if you're a slasher fan, you're really going to like this. It is a little weird. It is a little different, which is kind of a good thing. There's scenes where, I'm watching, I'm like, okay, well, we see Alice try to kill her aunt, and then the police come and they take Alice, and we're like, okay, well, shoot, this is it. And I was thinking the whole time, well, okay, like maybe she'll be able to prove that she's not the killer or whatever, and because they do a lie detector and things like that. And I think I was pretty bought in, like in the middle of, I can't see how this ends. Like, how are we going to have a movie here? Because they have her. Like, I was just waiting, I guess, for her to be released. there is a dynamic here, and it is cool because it is the 70s and they show kind of, a real life couple that struggled and got divorced and things like that. And the father is back from wherever he lives to help out and be with the mother here so they can, find out who's the killer. Like, and what I think is great is they're both so dedicated to their daughter, and the sense of like, she can't be the killer and we're gonna stay and prove this. There is a little romantic scene between them, which is always like the death knell, because then the father is killed, but it leads to uh, the killer reveal, and it leads to his daughter being let out. She was sent to like I guess an institution, so the police can try to find out what's going on with her psyche, because they do think it's her that killed or attacked her aunt and killed her sister and things like that. So yeah, so the dad's death does have meaning, which I think is awesome. It is like the best scene in the whole movie, in my opinion. It's brutal. Just how he goes to this warehouse and is getting stabbed and tries to avoid the killer, and the way it's shot is just creepy and really good. Um, I really enjoyed that scene. Um, the ending, I think, is okay. I don't think it was necessarily um, that memorable until like she like she stabs the priest out of nowhere. It was kind of leading up to this. Okay, well, how's this gonna end? And there was definitely tension. Um, but I think as the audience, there was a little relief knowing that like, you know, Alice is not the killer, so we have to figure out how now the killer is going to be caught. So I think when that scene happens, there is this built up tension. The cops are outside, um, and then all of a sudden, boom, stabs the priest, and it does tease the audience too that like something is wrong with Alice, and maybe she's the killer now because, um, cut to the end, and she is looking all creepily, and she pulls a murder weapon out of her bag. And so, you know, is this going to cause her to become a killer? We don't know. Um, so I thought that was done really well. I gave this 3 stars. I think it is a really good watch. I would recommend it if you're a fan of slashers. This is one you have to see, I think, if you're a fan of slashers. But um, I do think, like, for some people, it's going to be a tougher watch. It's an older movie. It does have a slower pace at times. It is a little strange. There is a children's death, which is pretty brutal. They don't show it necessarily, but just the thoughts and the imagery. That's what, that's what gets you. But overall, I think it is worth a watch, and I do recommend it. What are your thoughts on Alice, Sweet Alice? Have you seen this one before? Do you recommend it? Would you like to see this one remade? Because I don't know, this one could be a good case to be remade, depending. But I think some of what I really like is like the originality it has. So I don't know, that would be tough maybe to remake in today's world, but we'll see.